We are live. Welcome to the first showcase of 2021 here at Impact Central. My name is Gordon Nykhorst, and I'm a co-founder at Impact Central and your host for this evening. And what an evening we have planned for you. Tonight, we're going to have 4 of our Impact founders presenting to you about their business and their mission. And we're also joined by a fabulous special guest, John Elkington, one of the founders of the sustainability movement. And he'll be talking about his new book that's just coming out this month called Green Swans. Now, it would be amazing if we could have people here as a live audience. Now, we're not quite there yet. We're hopefully going to be getting there soon. But it's just not quite the same to not feel like you're actually giving us some feedback. So we're actually going to use some technology to make it a little bit different tonight so that you can actually feel like you're giving us some feedback, and this is more of a live interaction. And the way we're going to do that is through a piece of technology called Mentimeter. And so don't come off your live stream, but if you have your phone available, take your phone and hold it up to that QR code. And when you go to the QR code, up should pop menti.com. And you'll see that little screen to the right. And when you come to that screen, enter the code 76343573 and hit submit. Now, if you have a second device that doesn't have a camera, just go to menti.com. The same type of screen will pop up, and then you enter the code 76343573. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope everybody can get on a second device so that we can get everybody's interaction as we're going to ask some really fun questions. Now, while people are doing that, I'm just going to give a little bit of a background about Impact Central if you're not familiar with us. We run a 6-month accelerator program for impact startups. Now, what is an impact startup? Well, for us, it's a for-profit business that also has a mission. And the two of them have to integrate. They have to work together so that effectively, the better the business does, the bigger the impact through the mission. And the 4 founders that we have that will be speaking tonight all run great impact startups, and they are in the halfway point, so they've just finished the first 3 months of our 6-month program. It's a really intense phase, and we have 3 parts to it. The first part is lead, the second part is build, and the third part is grow. And what we do in the lead section is we focus on leadership, we focus on the attributes of taking your business, how do you kind of build your team, how do you clarify the mission that you're getting behind, how do you become the best leader that you can be. The second point is build. Now, that's probably, if you're familiar with accelerators, that's most familiar with other types of accelerators where we take our great faculty and we introduce business concepts, whether that be financial modeling, branding, marketing, etc., all the elements they need to run a great business. And then in the third phase, which we've just finished, which is called grow, that's where we talk to our founders about scaling their business. In other words, identifying what it is that they're going to need in terms of people, team, resources, finances to make their vision and their business a reality. And so tonight, you'll be hearing from 4 of our founders. They will be talking about their business, they'll be talking a little bit about their mission, and then they'll be offering you an opportunity of how you might want to get involved with them. So let's go back to Mentimeter. Hopefully everybody's gotten on board, but if you just joined us, we're going to do some interactive fun stuff right now with Mentimeter. If you go to the QR code, you pick that up, it should show up on your phone. You can go to Menti, put in that code, 76343573, hit submit, and that'll be coming up. If you don't have a phone, once again, just go to menti.com, same code, and hit submit. And so for our first question, why don't we find out a little bit about you, our audience? So where are you watching from? And there we go. We can see some of the answers coming in. If you're in London, tell us where in London if you can. If you're somewhere in the world, we have people are at home. That's fantastic. We got a lot of people in London. Banbridge, the Sofa with Wine, a great location to be watching the show. We have some international. We have a lot of people from Paris, from the Dominican Republic. That's big shout out to the Dominican Republic for joining us tonight. And also I can see Reading, we have Belgium, we have Rotterdam, Dorset, Belfast. Great to see. We have about 50 people so far have come on to the Menti. We'll just give it a few more seconds to get some more people in. But once again, join in on the fun. Go to menti.com and type in that QR code. And then you can play with us as we kind of go through a few questions. So I can see a few more coming in right now. Still the majority of us from London. So as I said, in the future, it would be lovely to have you all come join us live. And hopefully we might be even doing that for our next cohort. If that would be in July, around the 15th of July. So once again, I can see the Queen of Boroughs, Ealing. We have Turin in Italy, fantastic. And a few more international locations. Kensington, I can see Cabrera. Wow, what an international crowd. The second question that we're going to move to in a second now is, keeping in line with the fact that we have a number of founders that are going to be standing up here tonight telling you about their impact business, maybe making it a bit empathic for you. What would starting an impact business make you feel? And we have four answers for you. You could say, yes, I'm in. I'd love to, but would need help. Hey, maybe get in touch with us at Impact Central. Or if only I had an idea, well, maybe tonight will inspire you. And then, wow, not in a million years. So that's great. We also need people to support our impact businesses. So, but I can see everybody's really fired up. We have quite an ambitious crowd. 58% of people right now are in. Are we going to get to 60? Are we going to get 60%? Wow, that's amazing. We got so many impact businesses clearly on the horizon, and that makes us feel great at Impact Central because we're doing this obviously to be helping impact businesses. So great to see people putting in the answers onto a Mentimeter. I'll let this go for just about 15 seconds more, and so you can keep adding in your answers. So a few more people looking for an idea. As I said, maybe tonight you'll be inspired to come up with something on your own, and that would be great too. Now, the third question I'm going to pose on Menti is a little bit of an intro to our first presenter this evening. And that question is, how many plastic bottles of shampoo do we use in the UK every year? Now we have four answers that you can pick from: 50 million, 100 million, 350 million, or 500 million. And I can see answers are starting to come in now. We have a number of people saying 350 million. We have 22% at 100 million. Nobody's yet picking 50 million. So right now in the lead is 350 million with 62% of the people responding. So once again, the question, how many plastic bottles of shampoo do we use in the UK every year? So maybe you're thinking, how many bottles do I use in a year on my hair? Or your family. Or when you walk down the aisle in Boots or whatever store you go to, maybe a supermarket where you're looking at shampoo, how many bottles of shampoo do you see in a supermarket aisle? So 51% of you are coming in at 350 million. About a quarter of you looking at 500 million. We have 8% at 50 million and 13% at 100 million. Well, the answer to this question is that every year in the UK, we use 520 million plastic bottles of shampoo. And to tell us a bit more about how we might want to think about our use of shampoo, it is my great pleasure to introduce our first presenter this evening, Samantha Kidjo, founder of EasyCare.
Hi, let me ask you an odd question. Do you often have a bad hair day? You know, those days when your hair doesn't feel right, it doesn't cooperate. You've probably tried many products to get it right. The one your hairdresser has recommended doesn't work. The one your friend has recommended still doesn't work. Well, that's normal. It's because those products are not made for your hair. Let's take this shampoo bottle. And let's see what it has in common with the one in your bathroom. First of all, it's made with 70% of water, just water. The other 30% are made with preservatives, chemicals that only give you the illusion of healthy hair, and a bunch of actives that are not made for your hair. Then the bottle, plastic bottle, says recyclable. trust me, it won't be recycled. I'm a material science engineer, and I know that recycling these bottles is a complex challenge. So what happens when you're done with your shampoo and you throw it away? Well, it ends up in the landfill, in the ocean, contributing to a huge problem. Did you know that every year the beauty industry produces 120 billion units of packaging, and that all is not recycled? That's a huge problem. I'm Samantha, the founder of EasyCare, a personalized haircare brand that will change the way things are done. How do I do that? Well, we use clean ingredients that are selected just for your hair. We use botanical actives. That means that we base our science on plants and centuries of user experience all over the world. And we are earth-friendly. We don't ship water, we don't use plastic bottles, and we make sure that our products are good for you and the planet. That makes it safe and easy to take care of your hair. And don't take my word for it. These are my clients ever since I started a couple of months ago. And they are happy. That's normal. It's because the products I made were made for their unique type of hair. Now, you'll notice that most of them have afro-curly hair, and that's normal. It's because the beauty industry for years has completely forgot the afro-curly hair community, misunderstood, mistreated, and that led to Black women being 20 times more exposed to harsh chemicals through their personal care. That is not right, and that makes that community much more sensitive to natural and personalized products. How do I make it? Well, for you, for your brother, for your mother, it's a unique product. That's how, in a couple of months, I've already made 100 unique formulas. Every product is different because every person is different. How does that happen? At EasyCare, we have 50 bespoke ingredients that have been chosen for their effectiveness. We have your hair profile. You take a quiz on our website, and we have our algorithm. With all of that, we will create a unique formulas, a combination of ingredients that are made just for your hair. And you will get the product in a powdered form because we don't ship water. You'll add water at home, and then you'll apply to your hair, and you'll sit, relax, and have great hair. I'm building a machine learning software so I can help even more people. I will always keep the manufacturing low carbon emission. How do I do that? I will digitalize the whole process. I will always use science to make sure that the unique formulas that are made for you will always be the most effective possible. We will always use plants because everything your hair needs is growing on Earth. And our core value, the environment, will always be in the center of our business because the only thing we want to leave is your hair grid, nothing else. Sounds exciting? I have something for you. You can try it for yourself. You can try EasyCare with our code. Get a treat for your hair. Follow us on the social media and see what's next. And reach out to me, help me build that great business. Let's change the way things are done. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Samantha, for getting us off to such a great Thank you, Samantha, for getting us off to such a great start this evening. I do want to make one quick comment that we are observing social distancing rules. So definitely making sure that we have our masks on and staying distant. So just don't want anybody to be worried about that. Now, let's go back to Mentimeter in case anybody's joined us, or if you didn't get a chance to get on the last round, I want to give people a chance to get back onto Mentimeter. Here's the QR code. If you've just tuned in, take your phone, put it up to the QR code. You'll see Menti pop up. Hit that, and then that little screen will come up, and then you enter the code, which is unique for our event, 7634-3573. Hit submit, and you'll be ready and up for the next question. One more time, go to menti.com, the code, and then hit submit. So why don't we go back to Menti, and one of the things that's really important at Impact Central, I talked about our two halves of the program. Well, the second half of the program, which this cohort will be starting very shortly, One of the key elements for that for us is mentorship. And I'll be asking SL and Ian, two of my co-founders, to come on shortly to tell you a little bit more about that part of our program. But I thought it would be interesting to ask you this question. What would you be looking for in a mentor? And I can see some people already have some answers in there. So we have experience. That's a great characteristic for a mentor. Guidance and support. And then also some interesting smaller ones. Availability, of course. You know, we want them to be there when we need them. Wisdom, I love that. You know, as there's knowledge and then there's wisdom. And how do you you get that sense of patience and calm that people have. And then we have challenges. We got business knowledge, that's great. Mentor skills, industry knowledge, that's really important. Things that you want in your mentor. And once again, compassion, lots of them coming in right now. Experience is growing bigger and bigger, so we got a lot of people looking for experience in their mentors. And I can also see, availability, challenges, relationship, that's a great one. Encouragement, of course. We love to have our mentors encouraging us because, you know, we really trust them, confide in them, and want to make sure that they're honest with us, but that they also maybe take a little bit of care for our feelings. So we have expertise, wisdom's growing a bit, compassion. So keep putting those in there. I can see a lot of people adding still. What else do we have? Trying to read some of the smaller ones out. Direction, that's a good one. Haven't seen that one before. And someone's put in someone like Gordon. I don't know who maybe it's my daughter. Hopefully, probably not actually. Anyway, we'll move on from there. I have one more question for you this evening, and it's a little bit of a teaser for our next speaker. And that question is the following. If you went from a high-meat diet to a plant-based diet, you'd save 1,500 kilograms of CO2 per year. So 1,500 kilograms of CO2 every year if you moved from a high-meat diet to a plant-based diet. Now, what does that mean in terms of how many miles would it take of driving a car to equate that number of kilograms? And we have 4 answers for you. Is it 6,300 miles, 9,400 miles, 13,800 miles, or 18,000 miles? Once again, we're looking for the amount of CO2 equivalent that would be from driving a car that you would save if you moved from a meat diet to a plant-based diet. So you could be driving your car this much, it'd be kind of a wash, you know, if you drive your car. So I got about half of the people are saying 13,800, half of you are saying 13,800, about a quarter, 18,000 miles. We have a few at 6,300 miles, some at 9,400 miles. So it's it looks to be leveling out a bit, although 18,000 is catching up a bit. So right now the kind of primary guess is coming in at 13,800. I'll leave this up for a minute. It is my great pleasure to introduce 2 of my co-founders, Ian and Sarah Louise. They're going to talk you through a few things about our mentor program and also give you the answer to this great question.
Hey.
Hey, evening everybody.
Hello.
It's so great to be here with you all this evening. The last time we were here, we had Cohort 1, and we're going to be talking about the mentoring side of the program in just a second.
Sure.
But I just wondered if you might be able to give everyone a little bit of an update on what they're all up to.
Cohort 1, yeah. Well, it's been going fantastically well. It was about 3 months ago, just before Christmas we were last here, and so much has happened to their businesses ever since then. They've been working at building out their customer base. Some of them have been looking at their business planning and strategy. Others have been looking at their finances. Huge progress right across the board. It's fantastic to see. Above and beyond that, the one thing they've all been focusing on is building out that impact, the impact that they're going to have on society or on the world around us. Brilliant to see, great progress.
Awesome. So as well as helping to deliver a lot of the program, Ian heads up the mentor program, and he's been doing that amazingly. And lots of you have indicated what you think is really helpful in a mentor. Can you go back one, guys? Brilliant, thank you. So you got the word cloud there.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more on the mentoring side of things? So we think it's a really key factor. Why is it so important to our founders?
Well, hopefully it's some of those words that have come up there, like experience and wisdom and knowledge. What we've seen the mentors being able to do is to work with our founders to help them build their customer base, to help them focus on how they can build their brand and their image, and to help them build out their impact, both in terms of the team that they can impact or the supply chain. Just right across the piece have been having a massive effect.
Brilliant. And can you maybe give us a little example of, so we're trying to build out the specialist mentor program.
Yep.
And can you give us an example of the type of skills that we're looking for?
Oh, sure. So in terms of the support we want our mentors to be able to provide, it's right across the piece actually, and it's really any skills that you think you would like to be able to contribute to an impact-based startup. So that could be in finance, it could be legal skills, it could be in marketing, comms, branding, it could be in the people area. Really, where you've got a particular capability, where you feel confident that you've got something to draw on that's going to be of value to our founders, then absolutely, we'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. And hopefully right about now, a link is magically going to drop into the chat. And if you have got some skills and expertise that you would love to offer to the businesses of tomorrow, then we would really, really love to hear from you. So what's happening next?
What's happening next? Well, before that, we're just going to go back to the question that Gordon posed us.
Of course.
A really relevant one, which was about the amount of impact that we could have by not driving our cars, by having a plant-based diet. Sorry, got that the wrong way around. By having a plant-based diet, how many miles would that equate to in driving a car? Well, 40% got absolutely the right answer.
Bang on.
It's 13,800 miles just by giving up meat for 1 year. That's phenomenal.
Incredible.
Just phenomenal. Anyway, to tell us more about that, it's my absolute pleasure and privilege to introduce you to Ellie Busby from Vojo.
Have you thought about giving up meat or going plant-based? Maybe you've already tried it, or chances are, I bet you know someone who has. I'm Ellie, chemist and nutritionist, and I went plant-based 10 years ago. I did everything by the book. I was the perfect plant-based student. But a few years in, I realized something was wrong. Going running felt like dragging my feet through treacle, and my brain was moving in slow motion. To my horror, my hair started falling out. We hear time and time again that a plant-based diet is the best thing we can do for our health and for the planet. Then why is it that over half of those who try a plant-based diet give up because they encounter health problems? I was confused, embarrassed, and worried about the impact on my long-term health, and I was about to give up. How had I gotten this so wrong? Here's the truth. Getting all the nutrients you need from a plant-based diet is hard. Plants are much lower in nutrients compared to animal foods, and your body has to work harder to extract those nutrients and convert them into the forms you can actually use. The way your body does this is unique. That means you need to eat differently compared to everyone else. The general advice does not work. But unfortunately, there is too much general advice out there and no personalized support. So how are you supposed to know you're getting everything you really need? It starts with your DNA. Your genetics are the instruction manual which tell your body how to survive and thrive in this world. Your genetics tell your body how to extract, use, and store those nutrients that you need. And your genetics have a huge impact on your health. What if you're training for a marathon, but you have got the gene which means you can't store and use iron very well? Or what if you're pregnant But you have the gene, which means you can't convert the omega-3 from plants into DHA, the form your baby needs. We each have our unique recipes for health. And Vojo gives you yours by combining your genetic instruction manual with your lifestyle and your goals. Since discovering my unique recipe for health, I have felt fantastic on a plant-based diet. And I'm finally confident knowing I'm getting all the nutrients I need for my future health. Here's what you do. You sign up to Vojo for free. You answer questions about your health, your goals, and your lifestyle. And we can already personalize so much to you, including recipes and nutrition advice. Maybe that's enough if you're just starting out. But if you truly want to thrive, take our DNA test and find out your genetic diet type, which supplements you need, and so much more. Imagine knowing exactly what makes your body and mind tick. Imagine knowing exactly what you need to do to reach your goals. Whether that's getting in shape, building your long-term health resilience, or getting mental clarity, a plant-based diet is the best solution, but only if it's personalized to you. Your genetics never change, so it's one saliva swab for a lifetime of knowing yourself. But don't take my word for it. We already have 700 users on our beta platform. And 90% of our customers tell me they're feeling happier, eating better, and getting fitter within 6 months of starting their Vojo journey. That is fantastic. And the potential for this is huge, as over 1 million people in the UK alone are planning to go plant-based this year for the impact on their health and the planet. But if eating plants is truly going to be sustainable for our planet, it needs to be sustainable for your health first. My mission is to improve the mental well-being and physical fitness of our society with plants. I want personalized plant-based nutrition to be at the forefront of preventative healthcare within the next 5 years, and you can join me in my mission. Do you want to improve your mental well-being or boost your fitness? Email me, ellie@vojo.health. We're designing trials to measure the impact of Vojo's personalized programs on mood and fitness, and you can be a part of it. You don't have to be plant-based. You just have to be willing to try a brand new nutritional approach. Or if you simply want to find out more information, sign up for free at vojo.health and find out your plant-based health score and how to tailor your diet to your goals. I'm Ellie, and today is the time to find your plant-based mojo.
Thank you, Ellie, for that great introduction to Vojo. It is now time this evening where I have the great pleasure of introducing our special guest. And we are joined tonight by John Elkington, who is one of the founders of the sustainability movement. He is an advisor to executives. He is a keynote speaker at numerous conferences, and he's a real thought leader in this space, so it's a real pleasure to have him joining us tonight. Let me just give a little bit of detail about John. In 2008, the Evening Standard named John among the 1,000 most influential people in London, describing him as, quote, a true green business guru, and as an evangelist for corporate, social, and environmental responsibility long before it was fashionable. In 2009, a CSR International survey of the top 100 CSR leaders placed John fourth after Al Gore, Barack Obama, the late Anita Roddick of The Body Shop, and alongside Muhammad Yunus of Grameen Bank. John has addressed over 1,000 conferences around the world. He was a faculty member of the World Economic Forum from 2002 to 2008. He served on over 70 boards and advisory boards. John has won numerous awards and is the author of or co-author of 20 books. John's Cannibals with Forks in 1997 popularized his triple bottom line concept, people, planet, and profit, and laid the foundations for a sustainable business strategy. His 20th book has just been published, and the title is Green Swans, The Coming Boom in Regenerative Capitalism. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to Showcase, John.
Gordon, it's a thrill to be part of it, and good evening, everyone.
You know, I think a lot of our audience will be familiar with Nicholas Taleb's book about black swans, where he describes a black swan as a rare event characterized by its extreme impact, but its retrospective predictability. What do you mean when you talk about green swans?
Well, to do a gross injustice to Taleb's black swan, I mean, he meant things that sort of came out of the blue and went exponential, and they could take you good places, but largely, very often, they took you bad places. So I've chosen to contrast things that take us back bad places exponentially, places we don't want to go, with those trajectories that potentially at least take us exponentially where we do want to go, to better places. And so far, people have let me get away with it, and it seems to have stimulated a certain amount of interest, but happily to go into that a little bit more if you want.
Yes, if you could tell us, because I think you talk about what would be a green swan event.
Well, one of the areas that I'm fascinated by is the way in which major countries or regional blocs now are announcing massive recovery packages, and they're choosing, as with the EU Green Deal or the Biden-Harris administrations, whether they call it Green New Deal or whatever they finally call it. You know, the EU one is 1.82 trillion euros. The American one is anywhere between 1.9 and 3 trillion dollars. This is a large sum of money taken collectively. But what's interesting is they're all targeting green outcomes, sustainable outcomes, you know, decarbonization outcomes, and crucially, you know, social inclusion. So sometimes it's environmental justice, sometimes there's social inclusion. But this is a phase change in our politics, and I think it's a phase change in markets. So if businesses aren't already thinking about that, they really ought to be.
Yeah, I think some people might say, well, aren't these problems just kind of an identification issue? We should just identify the problems and get on with solving them. But I know you explained how it may not be that simple, because a lot of our problems have evolved to become what you describe wicked problems. Maybe you could tell us a bit more about what you mean by that.
Yeah, the term wicked and even super wicked problems sort of has been around for quite some time. And when I first heard it, I was working for the Ford Motor Company at the time in Michigan, and I didn't terribly like the concept. But the more I've come across it over time, the more I've perhaps understood it and therefore appreciated. And the point about a wicked problem is that it's so complex that it almost seems to resist solution. And so, for example, if you take the plastics in the ocean issue that has been pressing in recent years, if you take antibiotic resistance, or you take chronic obesity and all the diseases that cluster around that, particularly diabetes, these things are systemic. And if you look at a country like Mexico now, which has the highest obesity rate and therefore one of the highest diabetes rates in the world, these things are very, very difficult to think your way around and through. You've really got to sort of configure the way that you think about the problems. And I think that is one of the key characteristics of wicked problems. And in terms of super wicked problems, the climate emergency and possibly the biodiversity emergency alongside that, both been described as super wicked. In the sense they're even more damnably complicated.
I guess, you know, you've been an advocate for change for more than 40 years, and you've had the opportunity to speak with countless executives, government officials. I'd be curious to hear how you feel kind of the dialogue has evolved, particularly in the last 20 years. And then also, I'm sure people want to know, what is the hurdle that keeps people from kind of doing the actions if we do understand what we need to be doing? What keeps the action from happening?
Well, perhaps let's start with the hurdles, and they're as simple as human nature. They're as simple as sort of the Friedmanite or Friedman-esque approach to business and markets and capitalism. In terms of human nature, we tend not to think terribly long term if we can avoid it. And therefore, if we suddenly find ourselves in a geological epoch, the Anthropocene, where one species, our own, is just having effects on our planet equivalent to geological forces. That's beyond our pay grade. We really don't want to think about that if we possibly can avoid it, but we're increasingly being forced to think about it. It's becoming a very intrusive part of our everyday realities. So I think those sort of human nature barriers are often addressed, as in paradigm shifts, by a generational change, or in some cases, 2 generational changes, where you get rid of one group of people who chose to believe in the previous paradigm, and then the people they taught. So I think these are human, they're cultural, they're economic, in the sense our economics are not always telling the truth about the world in which we live. I'm actually oddly, though, optimistic. I think that if you look back at our history, and history has always been one of my favorite subjects, what you see is our species very often resists acting until it has no choice in the matter. Well, now we're actually at a point in all of this where it's very clear that our ecological systems, our atmospheric systems, are starting to wobble in a way that we have not seen for 8,000, 9,000 years in our sort of civilized history. And therefore, I think over the next 10 to 15 years, as the paradigm really gets to work and people realize we live on a very small planet and we're affecting pretty much everything, I think we're going to see off the scale action. Whether it's going in the right direction, it's being done by the right people, all the rest of it, that's to be determined. But there's no question that the next decade and beyond will be accelerated in ways that sort of outside most people's experience, I think.
Yeah, I know you talked about societal pressure waves that have been happening since, I think you described 5 of them since 1994, and that we're now in the 5th one. And the term that you use to describe it is that it's going to be the regeneration phase, where we're looking at a regeneration of economics, societies, and the biosphere.
Well, it's interesting because, yes, we started to plot those waves in 1994, but we tracked them back to 1960.
Okay.
And if you think about the paradigm that's been sort of gradually taking root around the world, environmentalism was part of that. Earth Day in 1970 was part of that. But then you get these ups and downs, and very often a societal pressure wave comes through, driven by all sorts of different issues, concerns, interests, or whatever. And then you have a peak period, and then you have something that goes wrong. It may be a Gulf War, it may be a major recession, or whatever it is, and things then go back on the back burner. Mm-hmm. And what's really spectacularly different about this 5th wave, which I sort of tend to slap the Greta wave label on, because she didn't cause it, but she certainly focused the energy, and she spoke for generations of people who've been pretty mute on some of these subjects for quite a long time. This is the first time where, with COVID-19 and a global downturn, the interest in climate change and these sort of systemic challenges has actually grown quite substantially, because people can see COVID and pandemics like that as one more example of what happens when you live in a shrinking world with an expanding population and everything starts to link to everything else. Your governance, your politics have to change. And so far, we've really not gone very far down that route.
Yeah. Tonight is showcase night, where we have 4 of our impact founders that are doing startups, and Impact Central is all about helping startups that have both a business but also kind of a missional purpose, whether it's societal, focused on society, or the environment. And I guess what's exciting is, in addition to the founders, of course, our audience is also a lot of people that are change makers. They want to see things change. I guess sometimes if you think a startup's so small, does it make any difference? Or versus people feeling the problems are so huge. What would you say in terms of, what can any individual do? What are the things that people could do to get involved to make a change?
Well, firstly, I should say declare an interest, which is I love the sort of people that you're showcasing. I think the people who think they can change the world decide to give it a go, and a fair few of them actually manage to do something along the way. There are a lot of casualties, and I think that the courage that people need to do some of this stuff, it can be at times immense, but I admire them beyond measure, and a better future absolutely depends on people like that. So I think it was ridiculous that whatever index it was put me alongside Muhammad Yunus. I mean, he has a level of vision and a level of entrepreneurial can-do energy, which I think is just off the scale. And you don't have to be at that sort of level. I mean, I've often had younger social entrepreneurs almost crying on my shoulder because they say, I can't do that. I can do what I'm trying to do. And if things turn out well, it'll be useful, but not at the sort of Grameen Bank scale. And I think we should be very careful of overloading people with our ambitions. I mean, their own ambitions are quite enough. Yeah, I love what they're doing. I do think, though, that they're going to need a lot more support than they currently get. We tend to think it's a fire and forget model. You give them some startup funding and they'll go away and make all this happening. I think it's very interesting to hear business leaders increasingly talking about system change. Mm-hmm. They didn't talk about that sort of 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, but now they're beginning to recognize that many elements of our market economies and societies are not working particularly well. So I think some of these entrepreneurs, some of these innovators are pioneering, prospecting in new business models, new ways of thinking about things. But bigger companies have got to get behind them. The political system's got to get behind them. And in a way, I think part of what you're doing in showcasing all of that is just making sure that these examples are better known. And I think that in itself will have quite a useful impact in terms of mobilizing interest and commitment. Just a final point. I mean, I've watched the ethical investment, socially responsible investment, impact investment realms evolve over time. How extraordinary it is now that we have, $500 billion worth of impact investment. Last time I looked, it's still relatively small compared to the trillions that are sluicing around the global economy every day or every week. But by God, we're making progress. And I think let's celebrate that, but also let's challenge each other and make sure that whatever we're doing, it's as good as it can be, and that it doesn't simply tick one sort of set of boxes, say environmental or financial or whatever, but as far as possible, it's a properly integrated solution.
John, really appreciate your optimism in that last comment, and all the things that you've done over time. I think for many of us, for most of us, it's been 40 years since your first book, and we're kind of catching up to the vision that you laid out there. Now with Green Swans, you've once again given us kind of a roadmap and a vision for some of the things we could be doing going forward. So thank you very much, and highly recommend everybody to pick up your book. I think it's a great read, a great way for us to think about the future and hopefully create a lot more Green Swan events. So thank you very much for being with us tonight.
No, it's a great pleasure. And if I may just say one final thing, and it's to the question you asked me, which I sort of ducked or forgot. I think this is going to happen. This is going to happen on a scale that is actually going to amaze a lot of people. So the people that you're spotlighting, celebrating, supporting, they're going to have a much bigger impact collectively over time. So more power to them, more power to you. And I'd love to keep posted as that all develops. Great. Thanks very much.
Thank you, John. So now it's my great pleasure to bring on our next presenter, our next Impact founder, and that is Jasmine King of Kin + Cloth.
Hi, I'm Jasmine, and I run Kin + Cloth, a design-led label providing quality clothing for children. We also deliver design workshops at a local primary school, guiding young minds to gain a better understanding of the fashion industry. The strongest emotion many of us feel is the love for children. What better way to show this than from in the home and through education? Much of what I know and do today with Kin + Cloth, and my mindset around sustainable fashion, I learned from my parents, from their creative skills, and my father's appreciation to well-cut tailored suits. My greatest memories are those I spent with my mother, my brother, and my sister making clothes. This led me to study tailoring, fashion design, and move into a career working for various labels, providing luxury and high street labels as well. What I experienced shocked me. I wanted to show there is a better way forward. So here's the problem. The fashion industry is in crisis. From overconsumption to unsustainable fast fashion, to the issues in the supply chain around labor and environmental sustainability. Not many children today gain access and are conscious about the impact of what they wear and where it comes from. Now, I really enjoy being part of this creative sector. Kin + Cloth was set up as an antidote to the ills in the fashion industry, to help nurture future generations with the right attitudes and relationship with materials, so that we can start to fix this broken system and give customers better access to better made products that have considered the wider issues. So let me tell you about those better made products. When I design our beautiful, practical pieces, I think about why I want every style to go beyond the trends. To go beyond the trends. I currently sell online and also have visible presence at a local pop-up shop, which connects with the local community. Many customers come from all over, and they have also come back to buy more pieces. Our retail price gives values for our customers and in line with an independent design label who does not over-mass produce products. I am committed to working with UK manufacturers, skilled makers, and suppliers with good ethics. I began the workshops after I was asked by the head teacher and a parent to come into a school and run a creative club. After that first term, I realized that if the fashion industry was going to change, it needed to start right there in that classroom, because they were going to be the designers of the future. Academic research shows that access to creativity for children helps them with their challenges. And I saw this in a particular child who struggled to grasp the concept of how a running stitch worked. So I explained the process in a different way. And at the end of that term, she came back and she asked if she could bring younger children in to teach them. At that point, I realized that she overcame the greatest challenge a child has: lack of confidence. This was such an achievement and an amazing thing to witness. Because I have seen the potential and the reach, I am focused on scaling Kin + Cloth to meet the demands, whilst building up to bring greater awareness to customers to buy better products. If we can secure retail outlet with enough space to create a small manufacturing team, which would open up job opportunities and allow us to then attend trade shows to take Kin + Cloth to the next phase, it could also become a community hub. And just think how many minds we could guide. So here's the thing. Fast fashion is so out of fashion. Now, if you remember one thing today, and you know someone with a birthday coming up, head on over to our website and buy them a gift. Once again, I'm Jasmine, and if you'd like to know more, please do get in touch. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Jasmine, for that great introduction to Kin + Cloth. Now, I've asked SL to join me here because we're going to talk a little bit about some of the initiatives that we're doing at Impact Central and also a little bit of an explanation about our ecosystem.
Awesome, thanks Gordon. So at Impact Central, we want to do all we can to provide the resources to best support our founders to succeed. And we have a podcast, which should be popping into the chat at some point. We have season 1 of the podcast is available to wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can hear from 8 amazing impact founders that we've been working with for a few years now on how they've built their businesses and the interesting opportunities that they have had recently. And season 2 of the podcast is coming. We recorded a really fun episode with J. Peterson from StoryBrand. He was one of the guests at our last showcase in December, and that's full of insight and action-packed tips on how to help businesses reach more customers and increase revenue. We also really wanted to provide something for our entire community. And it's been really frustrating to not be able to meet in person, but we've got a really great offer for you all. To say it's been a rough year would be an understatement. And we're delighted to be partnering with Michael Matania, who's the founder of Tough Cookie. Michael has really generously agreed to deliver a 6-week series on building mental resilience, and that's going to be on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. starting on the 4th of May. And Michael's going to take us through a program that will help us to improve our mental resilience by equipping us with practical skills to manage thoughts and emotions. So that's for all of you that are watching this evening. We wanted to offer that to our entire community as well as our cohort and other founders. If you'd really like to get the most out of this opportunity, we'd love to encourage you to commit to the 6-week series, to invest the time in you, because we feel that you really deserve it too. I'm just going to hand you back to Gordon.
Okay.
And you're going to tell everyone a little bit about the rest of the ecosystem.
Absolutely. And I think we have something on Chorus that's going to pop up. So there we go.
I'll stand out of the way.
That is Chorus. So Impact Central, we focus on getting our founders ready and getting them all the way ready to be investment ready. But we actually don't do capital raising, because capital raising is a regulated business. And so Impact Central, we focus on all the types of support that we can provide, but we turn to 2 sister organizations that help us on the capital raising front. One of them is Chorus Network, and the other one is Opto Impact Ventures. Now, Chorus Network, as you can see here, if you go to, let's go back one. Chorus Network is available on chorusnetwork.co.uk, and it's an angel network for impact investors. So we're getting investors to find impact startups, similar to the ones you've been seeing tonight. You know, when they finish the program, hopefully they'll also be available on Chorus for funding. Now, investing in startups is, of course, a higher risk investment, because it can take 3 to 5 years for the businesses to mature. And during that time, because they're not public companies, there's no liquidity, so you can't get your funding back. And of course, there's also a risk that if the business doesn't work out well, that you may actually lose your investment. But importantly, and this is something that I want to make sure people in the UK understand, the government is actually very encouraging in helping us invest in startups because of 2 very important tax reliefs that they've created. One of them is called EIS, and the other one is SEIS. And SEIS stands for Small Enterprise Investment Scheme, and it's available to businesses that are less than 2 years old, businesses that are startups. And it's an amazing initiative, because if you, say, wanted to invest £20,000 into an impact startup, then you would get £10,000 back in your next tax return automatically. So, in fact, your £20,000 investment is only £10,000 out of your pocket. And if the business does well, it's like getting an even greater return on your money, and you will pay no capital gains tax when you sell that investment down the road. If it doesn't work out, there's additional tax reliefs that will actually limit your loss to potentially as little as 13.5%. And EIS is a similar arrangement, but you only get 30% off instead of 50% off, and it's for slightly larger companies. Now, I know that a lot of people sitting out there are thinking, well, that's still kind of risky. I don't know if I want to put my investing in there. And I would just encourage you, though, to realize that, yes, you could invest in large public companies, and that would feel safer. and it would be liquid because you can get your money out at any time, but they're not going to really create any change. It's startups that create innovation. It's startups that are pushing those larger companies to do the actions that they're doing. Some of the ones that you've seen tonight that make large companies that are the ones that are creating all the plastic have to decide actually they can do better. So what I would encourage you is take 10% or even just 5% of your portfolio, invest it into impact startups. You know, once again, if it's SEIS, that 5% is only really 2.5%. So it's a great way to financially support these businesses because they do need your financial support to get going. And Opto Impact Ventures, we'll just talk briefly about that. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with tech VC funds. There's plenty of those out there trying to create the next unicorn. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of impact VC funds. And Opto is trying to fill that void. They're raising a $40 million fund. And the idea is that after that initial investment, there's still a couple rounds that need to, where companies need the money and also support from a solid VC that has access to a lot of the support network that it can provide so that they can grow and do that kind of 500,000 pound round, £1 million, even a £2 million round, so that when they're large enough, then they become more mainstream and it feels like a less risky investment that a lot more people will invest in. So if you're interested in investing, in impact investing, I would encourage you to check out Chorus at chorusnetwork.co.uk or Opto, optoimpact.co.uk. And with that brings us to our last presentation. SL?
Yes, and I'm absolutely delighted to introduce you to Vince from Zero.
Hi, I'm Vince, and I've got a very simple question for you tonight. Where did you go to buy groceries last week? Well, if you're like 98% of the UK population, you either went to a supermarket, a local convenience store, or even bought it online, especially if you live in a busy city like London. But now, if I was asking you where would you go to get the best product, the freshest meat, the tastiest bread, would you still go to the same places? No, you wouldn't. Now you would go to your local shops, you would go to your local baker, your local cheesemonger, because you know that you can trust them to get the best quality product. So why is the difference? Why not doing it every day? Well, I have asked that question to many people. And the answer is always the same. And it's not about cost, actually. It's about convenience. And that's what Zero is about. It's about bringing the convenience into local shopping. I live in Hackney. I love food. And I love my local shops. I love them because of the great product I can find there. I love them because of how much they care about the planet in the way they are selecting their product. But most of all, I love them because of the life and value they are bringing to our community. And you know what? It feels good when I'm buying from my local shops, because it feels like I'm contributing to something bigger, to my local economy. And that's why we are creating Zero, so we can all feel good about the food we are buying. Now, I'm not blaming anyone for going to a supermarket or to local online grocers, sorry. I get it. It's simple. It's all in one place, so convenient. I understand. I was the first to use it. But at some point, I got frustrated. I got frustrated with the quality of the product. I got frustrated with the amount of packaging that I didn't need and that I was receiving. But most of all, I got frustrated with myself, because I knew that I was actually contributing to a system that poorly rewards producers and key workers, that generate tons of emission, and a system that is destroying local economies and threatening local shops. In 2019 only, more than 10,000 independent local shops closed down in the UK. That's massive. Think about it. That's another 2 that will close by the end of the show tonight. And I know I can't be the only one who cares about it. And if we've learned anything with COVID, is that our local shops matter. They have stepped up when we needed them. So now is the time for us to step up and help them. Because the truth is that by themselves, they don't stand a chance, especially at a time where digitalization is everything and everywhere. So am I asking you to give convenience away? Absolutely not. I know that wouldn't work. And that's why we have created Zero, so you can get it all. you can now contribute to your local economy with the convenience of buying online as you usually do. With our one-stop shop for local artisans and independent stores, you can get the best and most unique product that you can't find on any other website. Now you can get it and get it delivered to your door. And because we really care about the planet and the environment, we go even further into reducing your impact by cycling everything and getting as little packaging as we can and using reusable containers. We want to make it so simple for you to do the right thing for your community and the planet that you don't have to think about it twice. Because for us, food is way more than a commodity. Food is a story. The story of Alan and Paul, who are third and fourth generation butcher. They never thought they could have a website or home deliver. And now with Zero, they can. And we go even further by getting them plastic free. The story of Becky and Andrew, who are brewing alcohol-free beer so that pregnant women can still enjoy a tasty social drink when they are expecting. Or the story of Jackie, who runs a local zero waste store. He used to rely on food phone only, and now, thanks to Zero, he can reach customers much further away and turn them into package-free shopping. Those are the stories you can tell when you're buying from Zero. So I launched the website in September last year with only a few products and a couple of stores listed. We now have more than 25 shops and thousands of products that are covering most of your daily needs. Our average basket value went from under £20 to over £75, with some orders now exceeding 100 and 150 pounds. But what's giving us most confidence in what we do is that more than 80% of the customers who bought from us once reordered and reordered again, because those customers also care. They also care about Jackie, Becky, and Alan. I have now cycled more than the length of a Tour de France to deliver those great products to very loyal and engaged customers. So we are proving it's working in Hackney, and we know it will work elsewhere. You know what? We're actually looking for our next location right now. So if you want Zero to be delivering where you are, well, get in touch and tell us why we should be there. Will it be Notting Hill? Will it be Clapham? Will it be West Hampstead? I don't know. Could even be outside of London. Email us and tell us why you need the service. And if you live in East London and love your local community, by all means, try us out. Get on the website. We are happy to offer you 15% off and a free delivery by using Impact Zero at checkout. And test the service and tell us. You can test it, tell your friend, tell your family. The more the merrier. And what you can tell them is that when you buy from Zero, your basket now tells a story, protect the planet and the community. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Vince. I know I've just sent you an email about where I want you to show up next in London, so hopefully I'll be able to do that soon. Well, sadly, we've come to the end of our evening tonight, which leaves me to say a few thank yous first. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to our 4 amazing startup founders. They have worked so hard over the first half of our program, and it's just been amazing and inspiring and a real honor to work with them and to see their passion for solving the problems that they're committing really their lives to trying to make a difference. I also want to thank John Elkington for joining us on the program this evening, for his dedication of 40 years of being a change maker and trying to make a difference and make us aware of what we're doing, and in particular, his book Green Swans, which is coming out now and which is a great read and gives some ideas of what we could do. And then finally, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. And I know that many of you are thinking you'd like to support further either us or the Impact movement, and there's many ways that you could do that. For example, if you know a child that you need to buy a gift for a child, consider Kin + Cloth. If you're thinking about going plant-based, try Vojo and go for your plant-based mojo. If you have hair, consider EasyCare. Show that you love your hair and that you love the planet. And finally, if you live in Hackney, Tower Hamlets, or Islington, use Zero. Make a difference. Show that you love your local community. I'm now going to talk. There's couple more. First of all, Chorus Network. If you're an impact investor, go to chorusnetwork.co.uk or optoimpact.co.uk to find out more about impact investing. Also, if you're interested in being a specialist mentor, we would love to have you contact us at Impact Central, and it would be great to have you working with some of our impact founders. Also, remember our 6-week series coming up with Michael Matania of Tough Cookie. And the last thing is, if you like podcasts, check out the Impact Central podcast, and please don't forget to rate it after you've heard one of the podcasts. Now, I'm going to go to our last question on Menti. Our last question on Menti is, so here we go. How do you feel about the future after this evening? And I can see some people have started to put in their entries. And I'm just going to encourage people to continue to put in their entries. And what we'll do is we'll leave that showing as we end the session. So all that's left for me to say is good night and God bless you.